going to talk about the new world of post-hurricane real estate questions. These are the questions that you must ask before you buy a home. And we're also going to do a little exhibit on the magic of ChatGPT. If you haven't seen this, chatgpt.com, you can ask any question that you want regarding anything. So I've got up here a question. What are the questions you should ask before you buy a home? And I want to illustrate this so that you can see what it looks like. Financial and affordability, property tax rate, HOA, flood zone, earthquake zone, property and condition and maintenance, neighborhood and surroundings, market conditions and resale value, legal and zoning, personal and long-term considerations. Interestingly, I asked this question a few minutes ago a little differently, and I got this. Well, it's the same one. I got this. And it doesn't want to give it to me. Here it is. About the property, about the neighborhood, ownership cost, about financing and offers, about resale potential. Talk to the neighbors. Isn't that interesting? So in this post-hurricane real estate questions, we have to ask, what do we ask? We've had 4 major storms. We've had Ian in September of 22. We've had Idalia. We've had Helene. And we've had Milton. And Milton had that incredible flooding in the rivers that occurred starting about 2 days after. And we don't really know what day the Withlacoochee River flooded. There's something about the Withlacoochee that makes it the last one to peak. Now, it peaked in 11 days during Ian, and we're 3 weeks after Milton, and we don't have a date when it flooded or when it peaked. Now, we learned a lot about hurricanes through this. I'm not going to go through all these about the quadrants and what happens, but what we did learn is that the impact is dramatic. And we need to be sure that when we're buying a home, that we ask the right questions. So let's look at flood zones. What do you ask when you're looking at a property in a flood zone? In fact, what do the flood zones look like? The way that we get flood zones is we go to the property appraiser and we look at the property itself. Now, in this case, we see the FEMA code is X. And what we want to do is we want to go to the map and go to this layer list up here. I'm pointing. And we want to click on this parcels green. And we want to come down to the land form. And we want to click on the FEMA code. And that's how we click on there. And we get this map with these colors. Now, this is AE, which is not the same color as this A over here. This clear is the non-flood zones. So when you're looking at a property, every property you look at for consideration, you want to go on there and look at where the land is in the flood zone. And you want to look at how close you are, like buying this property right here. If you watch my video about flood zones, you're going to see that flood zones expand. You could be in an X flood zone today, and then somewhere in the future, you could be in a AE. And if you look closely, you see these numbers here. These are topographical numbers. And so here, you're 50 feet above sea level, whereas here, you're only 20 feet above sea level. Becomes a big deal when we're having a storm surge. The next question is it a mandatory evacuation zone? So you can be in a flood zone, you can be in a non-flood zone and not be in an evacuation zone. And you can be in an evacuation zone and not be in a flood zone. How is that possible? Well, the answer is that flood zones, whoa, my map is going crazy. Non-flood zones can be west of 19. In fact, there's in Beacon Square, there's a big old hill, and you can be in a non-flood zone, but you're still west of 19. So you can have the county coming down your neighborhood telling you that you must evacuate, and yet you're not in a flood zone. Valuations. Let's go over how do you do valuations. Now you can go to Pasco, PA, you can get MLS data, you can have your own appraiser come in, you can have a realtor do a CMA, which is a comparable market analysis, or you can have a realtor do a full analysis using RPR. It's not an appraisal, but it is something else. So I'm going to show you how to do appraisals on the Pasco County Property Appraiser. There's this button right here called Neighborhood Codes. And if you own a property in Pasco County, you should definitely follow your property under this neighborhood code. So I'm going to click on this and show you how to do it. Search for sales. These are all the transactions that have occurred most recently, August, September, April. I didn't mean to make this a test on the months. But anyway, so let's say that you really only want to know what's happened. Your property is between $200,000 and $300,000, and you don't need to look at the related party transactions. So let's click this on. Look at this. 239, 240, 270, 260. And what you would do is you would go into each one of these. This 1,200 square foot property is vastly different than this 720 square foot property. Oh, look at that flood zone, MZ. Wow. I hate to say this, but MZ is multiple zones. This is not great for you, but it is what it is. Our whole purpose in this illustration is to look at you look at the tax assessed value, you look at the square footage under living, you look at the sale amount, and you look at the date. And then you say, well, mine is bigger. Mine is bigger. Well, actually, in this neighborhood, it's not a good illustration because the highest is around 1,200 square feet. So if you have a 1,000 square foot house, you're going to look at this 967 and you're going to compare it to your house. So that's how you're going to become a better shopper by using Pasco, PA. Where is the nearest settlement or sinkhole? So we're going to go ahead and talk about the settlement and sinkhole properties in Pasco County. Now, these properties are all under, if you look at information tools, you can go to this subsidence and sinkhole. I'm pointing. Subsidence and sinkhole. I can't put my cursor on it because there it is. I did it. All right. When you click on that, you get this group of 9,330. Actually, the number went down. And there is a way to get these properties to get unsinkhole categorized. But let's just grab the first one. I want you to know where it is. Right here under subsidence activity, it says sinkhole activity. And the way that you can look at the property relative to other properties is by, again, pulling up this layer list and going down the list to where you get the button that says, here it is right here. Oh, I can't see it. Subsidence sinkholes. You see that? You click on that button and you get out of the layer list, which is down here. It's a little confusing. If you jump on a Zoom call with me with your property, I will show you this for your property. And this is just a quick overview, and it's going to be way too long. It's already 9 minutes. Anyway, these purple ones are unrepaired settlement. These yellow ones are settlement repaired. And what you have to do is you really should watch my video on settlement homes and the difference between settlement and sinkhole. So if you were in a neighborhood that had a lot of settlement homes, you'd like to know. It's okay to buy these settlement homes. By the way, you saw there was 9,300 homes and they're all owned by people. but you need to know. And you also, the seller is required to tell you if you have a home that's contiguous to one of these settlement homes. And you're required to disclose this even if you don't know it. All right, permits. We have a really great site called Acela. And here's an example. This is, if you Google Pasco permit, then you can go to this site, Acela, and here's a property that I just pulled up, a random property in 2007. They had a water heater change out. In 2009, they got a permit for a re-roof. In 2020, they got a new AC. And you'll see a lot of times that houses will have these kinds of repairs made, but if they haven't pulled a permit, well, you can still buy them. All right, property tax implications. This is huge. This is huge, and this is scary. So I'm using this as an example. This is just a random house. And we can see that this is a low-end house, that the property taxes on this home are $584. So let's say you bought this house, and you want to calculate the change in tax assessed value. So let's say if you bought this house for $200,000, you can recalculate the taxes and see that the taxes have gone up to $3,200. Oh my goodness. Sure would like to know that before you buy a home. And let me tell you, the property tax collector, Mike Wells Jr., this guy right here, his office gets people reaching out every single day complaining, well, it was only $500 and now it's $3,000. This is a frightening turn of events for some people on fixed incomes and for anybody. Home inspections are kind of obvious. Get a home inspection. This is where the real negotiation begins. You can get price reductions, repairs, or concessions. Sewage line inspections, $300 to $500 to get your sewage line scoped. Many older homes have sewage line challenges. They're potentially $15,000 to get a new sewage line. This is a big deal. I have 3 great stories or horrible stories about this. What you should do before the inspection period ends: knock on the doors of the neighbors. Tell them you're buying the home and you're excited to be their new neighbor. Ask them if there's anything about the home you're buying that they think is important, because they're going to tell you anyway after the closing, and you don't want to know after the closing. You want to know if there's a deal breaker in there. You want to know. Hey, I'm Randall Jenkins. I'm a broker owner of Florida Real Estate Partners. I'm a mortgage loan officer. I am a YouTuber. I'm up to 40 followers on YouTube, and I have a bunch of websites, and I hope to be of value to you in your real estate endeavors. If you need help, if you have questions, if you want to know what's going on, I hope to be the one. I am Mr. Pasco. At least I was in 2003. I lived in Hillsborough County for 10 years. I go to Pinellas County all the time. I know Hernando County, but Pasco County is where I am, and it's where I live, and it's where I love. So feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or comments regarding real estate, and have a great day. Bye now.